Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Athens in Motion meeting. Sorry, I just realized I have to restart WebEx because I have to give it permission to use my monitor. But I thank everyone for their flexibility in moving our meeting to today, May 30th. And we will get this show on the road. Green. Sorry, now I have things in the way. Go away. Hurts. Here's our agenda. We are going to do roll call. I think that was a suggestion that came out. I wonder if I can do this like alphabetically, just off the top of my head. James.
How's that?
Lauren. From here. Teresa.
Here.
Randy.
Here?
Greg.
Guess I'm next. Here.
Yes. And then Blaine. And then John Devine. Not here. Greenway person. Unappointed. Vacant position left by Mark Abel. We don't have anyone. So we have a quorum.
Yay.
Thank you. Up on the screen, and it's very small, maybe we can zoom in a bit. We have our agenda. I have front loaded all the things that need a vote. And as I summarized in the email I sent to y'all, it's a couple of things related to quorum, small projects, which I'm really excited about. And Randy's going to give us a presentation on that. And we're looking for a vote today so we can send that up to our elected officials. And then we have an outline for the Athens in Motion plan revisions. And this doesn't have to be set in stone. We just kind of want to get temperature check and get buy-in on this direction there. And then we have some additional housekeeping to talk about, a really important update regarding spending of Athens in Motion Commission funds. So staff has some updates for us and we'll answer questions there. And that's going to take up the bulk of our meeting. And we'll squeeze in Todd, and if there's any time for important items from Daniel and anything that Cheryl had to pass along to you, Daniel, and then we'll quickly go through those. But are there any adjustments we need to make here? Does the timing make sense? And we were really busy this spring, so hopefully we'll have time to chat about that. Okay, with that, I will entertain a motion to approve our agenda.
Make the motion.
Okay, Randy first. Can I get a second? Second from Teresa. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, any opposed, same sign. We have an agenda. Next are our minutes from March. We didn't have a meeting in April. So it was back in the day. I think there were not any leaves on the trees. Now it's summer. And there was a question here about the conference, and I think we ended up just missing that deadline. So there was no conference attendee, but that's something that maybe we'll talk about early on next year. Maybe we can begin talking about it once we have new commissioners seated. So in the fall, because we will have a few new folks coming online. Any additions or corrections?
Well, Blaine was looking for who motioned and who seconded. I mean, we don't know.
I don't think we even.
Yeah, I don't think we got that far, to tell you the truth. I don't remember
Thought we did just because
I thought we did, but
we did approve it.
yeah,
Yeah.
but we never got our act together to actually figure out who might go.
I think we did get that far.
Yeah, that's right. And yeah, the chair did not get her act together, or remember to bring this up, so I'm sorry. That was me. It's not- it's not-
Nobody's perfect.
I don't know who motioned or seconded.
Yeah, and I had trouble accessing the video. So,
It should be up now.
okay. If it is, I can go back and view that
Yeah,
little spot.
it should be available. There's just an issue with it, but they've adjusted the playlist. If you don't see it at the top of the playlist, then it might still be at the bottom, but
You just saved it on our Google Drive. I can go ahead and update it.
All right, with that, I will entertain a motion to approve our minutes from March 28th.
So the,
All right, first from James, I will second it. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. That's great. Housekeeping, part one. I am sad that Mark Abel is leaving us for Europe, at least for a while, right? So he is rolling off. This means that it is likely the mayor and commission will wait to appoint someone until they do all their big boards, authorities, and commissions this summer. So a couple of us are up for renewal or being kicked off the commission. You know, it's one way to look at it. I think that's me. Who else?
Mark,
And Mark was, but he's gone. That's it? Okay,
it's 2 at a time.
it was 3 at a time. I think maybe things just got off skewed from people leaving. But yeah, I think that is right. I think it would have been me and Mark, and then whoever the third person was has already left a long time ago. Something like that.
No, because it would have been filled as if that person was, yeah, so what it is 2 people each year. Lauren and Mark are this year, James Parliament, Craig Topple are next year, 2024. The ORGC and UGA position are 2026.
But that's not how it originally was. It was 3-3-3.
Okay, this is just what's on the website.
Well, yeah, because things have shifted because we have different Greenway people now and a different UGA persons.
So I remember when Randy came on, he replaced Carol's position, filled out the rest of her term,
Mhm.
and then was reappointed for
Yeah,
a
because
new term.
it was Randy and Teresa, and someone else was supposed to be the third person. Maybe it was Jake.
Maybe it was Jay.
funny.
But yeah, but we all drew straws. Remember?
Yeah.
Anyway, I think the website is correct. Thank you, Daniel. That's the most important thing. So that will be, Mark's position will need to be filled. I will be up for renewal. And hopefully the mayor and commission are approving our Greenway person next week.
I haven't heard anything.
Okay. So we don't know that's here, I think, for June.
Yeah, worst case scenario, it gets moved until the other appointee is also filled, which they're not expediting that. It's just the process starts in July.
Because we might have some quorum issues if this person, we're gonna have it in that email.
And it's a bylaw conversation.
That's right. Speaking of, okay, among other things, staff has been having a lot of conversations with our attorneys about various things that we're getting into today. One of the questions that we've had has been about our quorum language. And the original document, which is on our drive, in section 2.2, and I'm just gonna pull, I know it's tiny here, I'm gonna make it big. it gives a specific number about how many Athens in Motion commissioners count as a quorum. And if we don't have a quorum, we can't meet. The reason why this is coming up is that solid number makes it an issue because of how long it takes to fill vacant positions if someone should roll off, right? So technically right now, with Mark officially resigning and with us not having a Greenway appointee, we only have 7 people on the Athens Motion Commission. Only 7 people can show up, only 7 people can vote. We still have to have 6 people with the current bylaws. And that makes things difficult if any of us have family emergencies, a work thing going on, something personal. So that is why I am putting forth this motion, or that I will in a moment, that we revise this point in our bylaw, section 2.2, instead of saying at least 6 of the voting members of the AIMC, to say half of the voting members of the AIMC plus 1 shall constitute a quorum at any regular or special meeting of the AIMC. No proxy vote shall be allowed. And
You want to just say simple majority? Or half plus 1?
open for discussion.
So we can't have half if there is an uneven number of commissioners.
Right now, that would be 5 of the 7.
Yes, well, actually it'd be 4.
A simple majority would make it 4. If you did half plus 1, depends on how you interpret half. Because if you have 7, and half of that's 3.5, you round up to 4. I think that what the attorney's office said was simple majority. Is how
Majority would work. 'Cause my thought is that it seems like the intention was in quorum to have more than half.
right, and so that would be a majority. So if you have 10 members, then majority, simple majority would be 6.
Full complement is 9 people, correct?
When we're fully staffed, yeah.
So a majority would be 5.
And that wasn't necessarily my intention to go down, because the simple majority then would be less than what we have now. And it wasn't to have less, it was just to have some way to accommodate if the whole commission is smaller. But you say the attorney's office is fine with simple majority?
Basically, bylaws are y'all's, and it's weird that it even says that mayor and commission should approve your bylaws, because that's not really the thing that has set precedent. That being said, we do need to review and find out. I haven't found out from attorney's office whether your initial set of bylaws was voted on by mayor and commission. If it wasn't, then they're all, like, they don't actually hold any weight. So I'll get more information. But in general, yeah, the bylaws are just kind of like what is set out in the resolution or ordinance, which in our case, it's a resolution, but for all BACs, some of them are created by ordinance, most of them are. And what is set out there is the hard and fast, like, this can't be changed within the bylaws. So for instance, it says within the resolution, 9 members. So in your bylaws, you can't add new members. Now, ex officio are non-voting members, so we could hypothetically, I believe, add ex officios within the bylaws. It wouldn't create more voting seats. It still falls within the resolution, but we do have official kind of seats then for outside entities. Did that answer the question?
One thing at a time.
Yeah.
One thing at a time.
So simple majority right now would be 4. Right?
Currently, yeah.
But if we did the +1 language, I think it would need to be 5. So that makes it a big difference just right now.
Yeah, but 5 would be easier to accommodate than right now than 6. Yeah.
Simple majority works for me.
Blaine, you had a thought?
Also thought, is there also opportunity to evaluate why it takes so long to fill the open seats? Because that's kind of why we're changing this, is because right? It takes too long, so why does it take so long? Does it have to be approved? And they only meet once a month, or, but it seems like Dale's been gone
Wow.
for a couple of
Right.
months.
There's definitely some bottlenecks in the process. One is, waiting on the Greenway Commission, and Daniel's been doing a really great job of like checking in with them, being like, hey. But even still, even if they were like, Dale's gone, here's a new person, we still have to wait on Mayor and Commission. And if the Mayor and Commission just had a vote, then we're still waiting another month, which means we're waiting another meeting of ours, and then they won't be here until the next meeting. So yeah, some of those bottlenecks we could maybe, we can poke a little bit, but some of them are over our heads, right?
Right, and mine took a while. Mine had to go all the way up through the university, like to the president's office. So I remember when they first contacted me,
Wow.
I almost thought they just forgot about it and like it wasn't gonna happen. It took 2 or 3 months and then it
Wow.
finally came back and said, okay, you're good. So I know I have it's there, but just in general.
Yeah, I mean, specifically with the Greenway appointee, that took longer because I think there was a couple meetings where Dale didn't show up and I had no idea that he was no longer on the Greenway Commission. And by the time I found out in one of the Greenway meetings, at that point I said, we need a representative. And they said, okay, we'll put that on our next agenda. So like I found out during the meeting, then I had to wait a month for their next meeting. And then they appointed, but then from there, just voting, the president then, or the chair then needs to send a letter to the mayor. And that got delayed and we didn't meet one of the voting cycles. And so then I followed up. So now hopefully that has been done. I mean, the letter was sent. It should be on the agenda, probably consent agenda. And then we should have it. As for the other seat, like Mark's seat, they mentioned that they try to do one time a year where they interview and select appointees. So let's say they do that in July. Let's say in October, one of you had to step down and resign. We would then have to wait until the next July before we get another appointee, based on my understanding. That being said, I'm hoping that that's not the case, and it just so happened that way because with him, with Mark leaving the commission, it's enough time period that like, there's no reason to accelerate this when it's just gonna be one more month and then they'll be interviewing people. So they're working on a lot of moving parts and pieces. There's 60 BACs within ACC. So they're working on streamlining a bit. So roll with the punches.
I've put some language, I've revised the suggested revision, and based on this conversation, it seems to me like a simple majority, maybe that would be best. I don't know if that will get through the Mayor Commission, but we certainly have a reason to back it up. Blaine, I appreciate you sharing like how long it also took for you just to get on here. That's a good reminder. So if would someone like to make a motion to revise our bylaws, 2.2 to change to be to the wording be a simple majority to constitute quorums?
That's just this one change, right?
Yes,
I'll make that.
okay. Reset. Can I get a second?
Second.
James? Further discussion? Okay. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed, same sign. Okay, we have updated our bylaws to be a simple majority. Thank you, because we actually did need 6 people to do that. To change that, and we will, Daniel, I'll work with you on how to best kick it up to the Mayor and Commission.
I would just throw in one more change, Article 5. Get rid of that, because it currently says that mayor and commission have to vote to approve. And I would just, if y'all want them to be over that, it doesn't make sense to have it in there. And I think we're checking the boxes here by like voting on the changes that need to happen, but I don't actually know if it's necessary. I would like to go ahead and have it on record that y'all voted to remove that article. Do you have it?
I do. Teresa also says that the bylaws have to be changed by a written ballot.
I can make some written ballots on a yellow pad if you want.
It really does say that.
Say or,
It really does say that.
ballot or something? Oh,
It says these bylaws may be amended, altered, or repealed by at least a 2/3 vote of the voting members by written ballot. Oh, or at any regular meeting. Okay,
Oh, okay,
so we're good.
okay.
I was like, I thought I remembered.
I see written ballot, and I stopped there. It's like, really?
So, yeah, the part that I would just throw out there is any such amendment, alteration, or repeal shall be approved by mayor and commission prior to its effect. Like my amendment would be to remove that sentence. Obviously, I can't make that motion. That's just kind of my recommendation.
What do y'all think?
Well, if we're, then you were saying though, we are the only commission with that
Very possible.
requirement?
Very possible. The attorney's office was confused why it said that.
Okay,
They said that's not how bylaws work.
then if that's the case, if we are one of the only commissions to have that requirement, then I would make the motion. Strike that last sentence requiring mayor and commission approval of the amendment, alteration, repeal.
Does anyone anticipate any political fallout?
Can we get a second on the discussion?
Second.
Cool.
Well, I was gonna write it.
Um,
What is, so we're changing the words,
removal of the last sentence.
Yeah, the removal of the last sentence in Article 5.
let me at least write that down.
So the bylaws, from what I can tell, the bylaws were in place before the commission met. Typically, commission is created by ordinance or resolution, and then at their first meeting, they develop their bylaws. If that was never done on this commission, then we don't, then we could potentially have new opportunity to meet and create new bylaws. For now, we can vote to amend this, and if we need to, we can put it through mayor and commission. That gives me that option. Alternatively, we might be completely revisiting this in a couple months.
Yeah.
If we get new membership and we can kind of maybe do some more housekeeping and all that, so.
And two, it's not that we're looking to not have their input, it's just that they have enough on their plate.
Right.
Worrying about minor, changes that we're making to
What constitutes quorum?
Yeah, to a commission that really is only advisory.
Yes, and yeah, exactly, Randy, and to your point, like if the other commissions don't have to bug the mayor and commission for this thing. Okay, so sorry, I was trying to get my screen back together. So we can all see what this will actually look like. Okay, so remove last sentence. I had to manually type it because this up here is a scan. Remove last sentence. Any such amendment, alteration, or appeal shall be approved by the mayor and commission prior to its. Who made the motion?
Randy.
Okay. And second, so Teresa. Any further discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
I,
Aye, opposed. All right, thank you. That's 2 updates to our bylaws. And hopefully that will make things a bit easier. Are still on time mostly. Okay, policies around committees and quorum. Daniel. We had this discussion. Is now a good time to talk about this?
Yeah.
So, our committees have been, they're regular committees, but we haven't really forced people to like pick a committee. And we haven't established like what is quorum for that committee, but it seems like that's something that we will need to do. Is that correct?
Yeah, so they're, committee meetings don't have to be live streamed. They have to meet quorum. So you'll have like an official attendance record of that committee. Here are the people on this committee. You know, if you wanted to keep 3 subcommittees, then each one would have probably 3 members, would be a simple way to do this. And then quorum would be half, majority, so 2 members meeting. That being said, there's like other commissions of our size that have 1 committee that's kind of just like specialized in breakout session. Like it kind of gets down to like, do we need regular meetings? It seems like grants and data has kind of disappeared. That was basically me and Mark meeting whenever there was something to meet about. But, I feel like maybe that could just be dissolved and incorporated into, data, and any grant things could go towards projects and policy committee, which seems to have a pretty healthy membership. As an example of what we could do, I know education communication, we haven't met lately. There hasn't really been much.
much to talk about or, take people's time away.
Okay. So I appreciate you not just having a meeting for the sake of having it. Helps my schedule, but just, yeah, what are y'all's thoughts on that? Because ultimately, I mean, that's something that could be required as part of the membership with Athens in Motion, is you need to be a part of at least 1 subcommittee. And yeah, I mean, what are your thoughts?
I like the idea of everybody having at least 1 subcommittee. To have, emphasize whatever strength they bring to commission.
Well, do we want to, how many subcommittees do we wish to have? I mean, if we get rid of grants and data, it's down to 2.
Yeah, we also,
Which-
we have the ad hoc committee for the plan revision.
Well, that's true, which is
We kind of still have like 3 committees without grants and data.
I was wondering from what you had mentioned regarding just having special meetings, the special call meetings around these particular topic, which in the case of rewrite, that's what we're doing there.
Yeah, when we need to establish a forum for like an ad hoc committee like that.
It's really confusing. I'm not really sure.
How about
If it's an official committee,
Yeah.
then yes. If it's like a work day, like where we're, like, for instance, with the projects and policy committee, when we did the complete streets review, like we went through line by line and did that.
Yeah.
We were able to do that virtually. That was great. We got a lot done. But not being able to meet virtually within committee meetings throws that kind of into a little bit of chaos. I think there's a terminology for something where like people can work together on, like, we can't make decisions, right? Without it being a public meeting, but there are some things that you can do and then bring those changes to the public meeting. So I just need to get a little more clarity on my end on like how that looks, but I don't know if any of that makes sense. I don't fully understand it myself, so.
Let's keep the conversation open. I think that my vision is that by the time we have our August meeting, where we have our new commissioners, we've all done training and we know who's here, we'll affirm or revisit what our committees are. And everyone will have a committee that they're assigned to, or that they have decided to fit themselves. And it will be a little bit more formal. I feel like this summer, the main work is going to be related to the plan. And because you've done so many events in the spring. I don't know if we're gonna do much more. You're gonna.
Right, your trouble. I'm gonna be gone for a while, and then I got a wedding of my own to deal with. July. So, but after the end of July, like, it's Athens in motion all the time.
Yes, and so speaking of that, we'll table that conversation. That's what I think the committees, we're gonna do the committees. Making sure that we have quorum, and because remember, we do have to wait for the mayor and commission to approve our changes. So for now, we still need 6 people to show up. And we're not gonna be able to get this on like the Tuesday agenda, our changes to the bylaws. No, so that's gonna come up. And
But
actually,
I need to find out if we even need to get it on the agenda.
okay, but they're not meeting in July though.
Right, so I need to figure out if we actually need it to be on the agenda, because we might not.
Okay, might not.
So it's not a definite, it's just. I have it on a list of things to check in on.
Okay, so for now, even though we just made this vote, we still have to have 6 people here do anything.
We might
But,
need to.
well, no, for now, we still
So
need
we
to be.
hear otherwise.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So everyone is here in June except Teresa's out. I think John said he's in. So then we would have a quorum. Does that sound right for June? Y'all all are gonna be here?
What's the due date again?
That's, yeah, so we would be, the meeting is the 20th.
27th.
I'll be here.
You will?
Yeah,
On June 27th?
on June 27th. I will be here.
Okay.
I'm not good at calendars, so maybe I said the wrong thing.
I won't be.
No, I'm gonna
Okay,
be
you
here. We
won't
get
be
back on the 20th.
Okay, so. Teresa will be here. Greg will not. One, 2, 3, 4, 5. I think John will be here. Anyone remember? Remember the email? I don't want to know.
Is it an email thread?
I think. He didn't, it's me and Danielle. John will not be here. Shoot. We may not have a quorum, June.
We'll not worry about it right now,
Okay.
and we'll figure it out once I get better info on the
Okay.
bylaws. And we have to shift the meeting, shift it.
But I will not be here the following week. Following 2 weeks. All right, so quorum, not quite settled, we'll figure it out. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and move us on to our major items. Very exciting. We have some ideas for small projects proposed spending, and Randy, I was gonna pull it up on the screen and you can just tell me to
That's
advance
fine.
the slides.
Good, thanks.
The projects themselves are listed out in the agenda, but Randy's put together a presentation. And we're not sure if, the Athens Motion Commission, we have been doing presentations to the Mayor and Commission, but we may not be doing that or need to do that. I don't know. Y'all let us know. Stephen.
For this specifically, for the budget breakdown,
For the small projects.
we would want to put that forward as a work session probably. And we may do that staff-led with maybe you in there as well.
Okay,
Just depends on how Blaine wants to say it.
I'm sorry. Yeah. Just let us know if we're gonna help or hinder. Because if it's gonna hinder it, I don't want to be there, but I like talking about Athens Emotionally Dark
Okay.
Commission. I don't know if they like hearing about
I'll
it.
just go right to slide 12.
Okay. But this is great because Randy has already put all this together, so.
If it's M&C, we got all the hoo-ha there already.
Yeah, project proposals.
Okay, so over the last couple of months, the Projects and Policy Subcommittee has been working with TBW and looking at what monies, or what funds are out there and available to start getting some projects rolling here that we can show the public. And first step was evaluating what expenditures are out there from existing capital projects. And then identify what funds have not been spent yet or encumbered, so already not spent, but allocated for something that we know we will need to spend as part of a project, existing project. From there, brainstorming on a bunch of various project ideas and trying to identify ones that we could complete in a short amount of time. One that can be completed with internal staffing, ACC staffing, such that we can minimize the cost and all of the extra planning and logistics that go along with using outside contractors. And then lastly is that they would be visible and tangible to the general public so that the citizens of the county are seeing what their T-Splosh dollars are being spent on and beneficial to them. And I also wanted to add, the special thanks to Stephen and Daniel. I'll tell you, going through that spreadsheet, it was a great spreadsheet, but there's no way we could have understood it without it. A lot of moving of monies, and it's like kind of a chess game. Next slide, please. All right, so out of all of that work, we identified these funds, available funds. And they're broken down into two categories. They're current funds, so monies that are there right now. And then a second category of funds that are future funds, which are actually the T-Splosh dollars from 2023 that we'll get over the next 4.5 years. So looking at, there's about 800,000 still unspent and unencumbered from the T-Splosh 2018 bikes project, and then another over 3 million from the 2018 pet improvement program. And we've already collected in almost 1.2 million out of the existing, or the T-Splosh for 2023. So right now we're looking at almost $5 million of funds that we can start spending. And then another 6.6 million that will be coming in over the next 4.5 years for a total of 11. So we took those.
Question, so just for everyone else,
Sure.
so the encumbered funds, that would include Barber Street at this point, right? Which we'll come back to.
Okay. So looking at that, we wanted to take a look at the projects that we brainstormed and how can we allocate these funds to those projects so that we can really get some things going here. Go to the next slide, please. So out of that, we identified 7 items: sidewalk gaps, bike lane gaps, ADA improvements, pilot programs, road diets, some funds for matching funds, and then the largest bucket is, funds, making sure we have funding for the tier 1 capital projects. And I'll go into each one of those in a little more detail. Ignore the pictures. I didn't have time to get any pictures, so. And I stole this from your budget.
Yeah.
I love stealing other people's presentations before I go through all of them. For the fancy way. Anyway, sidewalk gaps. So here, really, we're looking at having some funds to identify where these gaps are present within that existing infrastructure and be able to use the existing staff resources to install those sidewalks and close the gaps. And through the discussion, just as an example, you're looking at about 20K for 500 feet of sidewalk. And Steve was talking with the other departments, and it's not a commitment, but it was an idea that they thought they could install 5 to 7 or perform 5 to 7 installations per year. So we're using all this information then to finally break down the total 11 million and how we could allocate it to each of the projects. Next slide, please. Looking at the bike lane gaps. So again, to identify the areas where those gaps are present within the existing infrastructure. And then really, and this kind of goes across all the projects, but look at, identify what can be fixed, but look at what can we fix the fastest, the easiest, and with the least amount of money, so that we can really get some things done here. We want to avoid anything that involves right-of-ways and major reconstruction. Where can we just do some restriping, maybe some minor movement of things that are obstructions in the way, but nothing that's going to take any outside resources. We got a lot of feedback. When we had UJ had their safety event, a lot of comments about I'm riding along and all of a sudden the bike lane disappears. And I'm, confused as to where I'm supposed to be at that time, but, and I'm sorry, next slide.
Sure.
Looking at ADA improvements, again, identify where we have all of these gaps. We have a nice starting place because, this was one of the T-SPLOST proposals. And so we have some information there starting already, but ultimately looking again at where can we do simple fixes. Looking at sidewalk ramps that are ADA compliant, installing push buttons at crossings that are accessible to people in wheelchairs and those that are visually impaired. Again, what we can do internally. Next, please. For pilot programs here, it was looking at having a fund this fund available of dollars such that when we do want to put a pilot program in place to similar to what was done with Prince Avenue, maybe something could be done with Barber Street. There was a thought there too, but the importance of these pilot programs is that they are beneficial because the public can see what we're trying to do without doing a huge capital outlay and doing the infrastructure change and find out either they don't like it or it should be done differently. What's kind of exciting, well, kind of, but what is exciting here is, Daniel, correct me if I get this wrong, but you're also working to already have funds available to start buying the equipment or what we need to put a new pilot in place. So these funds would only be for construction or the actual implementing the.
We have part of the Safe Streets for All grant. The entire Safe Streets for All grant has a matching fund source of 20%. And we have it broken down into various improvement types. So one of the subcategories that we have within there is the development of a pilot program, quick build program, basically. And so we have that grant funding. We just need the, match, our local match to go towards it. I don't think that it would need to specifically go into this particular pot, Stephen. Because really, FHWA doesn't care about our sub accounts, sub projects and stuff. I think it might be helpful, but or I guess y'all could also vote to like put money in addition to what we're getting from Safe Streets for All.
Well, the bottom line being here is that I think it's important that we have this money set there such that if someone says, well, let's do the pilot project, say for Barber Street. Boom, it's there. We have money available and we don't have to wait another 2 or 3 months of meetings to approve those funds. Next slide, please. For road diets, and in this case too, would be a pre-allocated set of funds that when we are doing road diet activities that the county's doing on their regular schedule, that we would have additional dollars available to piggyback on that, whatever the road diet happens to be able to put in pedestrian and cycling improvements.
It's like thermostat, things like that, so really affordable stuff, and that's pretty much all.
Yeah.
The only money we've put towards bike infrastructure at this point, it's been just like either planning or it's been thermopane. We've been very economical, I would say.
Yeah. And then a bucket for matching grants. So have dollars set aside such that when whether the federal government, state government, handing out money at the time, and a stipulation of receiving that money is that we have a local match of the funds. We'd have it available and be able to jump on those opportunities quicker. And then lastly, have the money approved of our existing available funds to keep our tier 1 capital projects moving forward. And here's the breakdown we came up with. So we're looking at a little over $1 million for sidewalk gaps and same for bike lane gaps. 580,000 on ADA improvements, 232,000 for pilot, 348 for road diet, 232 for matching funds, and then the bolus of the money for tier 1 capital projects.
Digest that.
Do you want to simplify it down to just $1 million flat, or I think we did a percentage, which is why it's coming out.
That's why they came out that way, yeah.
But that's kind of what we used to figure out the initial.
Yeah, what's the percentage we decided? Maybe that would also go be.
So out of the entire funds, so we were looking at 9% for sidewalk gaps, 9% for bike, 5% for ADA, 2% for the pilot projects, 3% road diets, 2% for matching funds, and then 70% for the tier 1 projects.
So we talked about this a lot. We wanted to be able to get some things rolling, as Randy said, with some of these smaller projects, but also still have that big bucket of funds for those big expensive projects. So we talked about it for a while and had a couple meetings and came up with that sort of figure of 70% would still go to the tier 1 capital projects. So those are things like Barber Street, which is already allocated, but like Jefferson River Road, Cherokee, which we're actually not moving forward on that yet, Riverbend Road, things like that. But these are smaller dollars that can have tremendous impact sooner than later. Versus some of these longer projects that they're no matter what, they're just going to take longer than we expect and want. Yeah, anything to add, Stephen?
So I think Randy said this at some point, but just a reminder that that 8 million already takes into account that there's additional money set aside for the current tier 1 projects that we've already identified. So money is set aside, it's either encumbered or earmarked for Riverbend, Jefferson River Road, and Barber. There's none set aside for Cherokee construction.
Okay, right.
The rest of those don't have to be considered this year. They're already funded.
Thank you for that reminder. Thank you. I appreciate that. So,
So that's it in a nutshell.
so,
Any comments?
yeah, so I guess we'll be trying to get a vote from you all today. Are we trying to get a vote on this exact thing specifically, or a split, or what are you looking for, Randy?
Well, I'd like to get closure on this today.
Okay,
If everybody's good with the projects identified and the funds allocated.
okay, so on the specific thing, what's your question?
The matching funds aspect of it is interesting in that, I don't know how much you might anticipate or, that would be matched. It seems like a small number, given this, how expensive things are. What if there was a matching grant for 500,000? I don't know how big these grants are and where would it fit in, like in terms of that? Like, say there was a grant for something, I guess you don't know where it would fit in terms of these allocations.
That's right. So usually lately, it's been about a 20% match on most of the federal, the federal infrastructure dollars, asking for 20% grant matches. So 250,000 gets us about $1 million grant, a little bit more.
Okay.
Which is
okay. So you have to use 20%.
what we would be hoping for if it was a planning grant, right? So if it was something to do planning for long-term stuff, that's about what you target. If it was an implementation grant, we're actually building something. What we'd hope then is that part of that 8.12, if it's just actually building one of those projects, that money could go towards the match.
Yeah.
That's a good question.
So do we need a motion?
And are we specifically earmarking it for one of those? What if we don't have anything to match?
So that's also what we thought about is, T-Splosh hopefully is done in 5 years. We spent all this money out and we're on to the next one, right? So I think we should probably have somewhere an idea that if we haven't found a grant that we're looking for by year 4, probably just need to say this rolls into construction funds and we go, and the next T-Splosh could be, matching doesn't have to sit there waiting. If we know that we're on year 4 of a 5-year program, we haven't found a grant that works, let's just put it towards something else.
So we have the ability to do that.
We do. Yeah, I think you'd want to, mayor and commission are going to be the ones that eventually vote on the sub bucket breakdown, just like they have on the other user groups. So you may want to just recommend to them at some point, if any of these haven't been used for efforts for matching, then that money would roll into X, whatever you want to say it. You don't have to vote on that today, but that's probably some language. Well, maybe you would want to vote on.
I would go ahead and vote. Yeah, I think ultimately y'all are voting to recommend to mayor and commission this, and I would include that language.
And would we just be doing that for leftover matching funds, or are we talking about other unencumbered funds? Well, small projects.
Essentially, that's what we're doing now already. We're taking funds from 3 different T-Splosh.
Yeah, you don't necessarily have to do it today, but to your point, that is what we're doing today. We can come back in 3 years and do this exact same exercise and send them an updated, sub bucket recommendation. It's all a moving target at this point. What's going to move forward, what's going to have traction, and what slows down. So I'd say the one that has the biggest question mark though, is that matching funds bucket. So if you wanted to write something in that says reevaluate, the AIM Commission promises to reevaluate by year 3 with an updated version of this, we can do that.
2026.
6. Yes.
The way it's currently raised, it would create these, right? So we have $1 million sidewalk gap program. That is now a sub-project that we could use one of our on-calls to help execute. Create the prioritization, create the project list, the analysis. So funds from this bucket could go towards the development of that program and then the implementation of that program. And once that's been created, let's say we spend out the rest of our money in tier 1, like there would still be $1 million in sidewalk gaps, and it would take mayor and commission action to move that out into the capital funds again if we needed to reallocate some things. So I think it makes sense that not necessarily just because I mean honestly they could choose to do that without a recommendation from the commission. At the end of the day, if we bring forth future Millage Avenue project and they're like, well, we don't quite have enough money, so we're actually gonna pull from this and wrap it in here. So I mean, I would just focus on creating those projects. Don't worry about promising a upcoming. Don't do anything that would cause this list to expire. It's the development of a program with a fixed amount of money. Hopefully in the future, a future T-SPLOS will help fill up the coffers again on these programs. But my thought is that these would become kind of long-term plan would be that these are budget line items that hopefully, we could fill up with general fund if we get to that point one day. I'm assuming that's how the budget stuff works.
So what this really does is it serves as a guide, some set numbers for you all as staff to work with. You're like, this is what we have, this is what's in the bucket for now. Things may change, we may be asked by mayor and commission to do something else, or we might have another project in the works that has to be finished. We need to pull funds from here, but this is what you all will use day to day.
Right.
Yeah. Any additional questions from the AIM commission?
In the grand scheme, you guys are seeing this a lot. That's not we're gonna be able to spend that fairly easily. Correct.
I believe so.
You're saying 500 feet is 20,000, some of the sidewalk gaps are pretty substantial.
Yeah, we calculated it out, and I think the slides that Randy had really is kind of sort of how you get that number, and it does add up to about what we'd expect we'd be able to do with staff.
Yeah.
We'll want to spend this out, so run more money from the next T-SPLOS. Say like, well, we have these programs established. We want to continue the programs. Here's what we've done with the programs.
Build this many miles of sidewalk and.
Got this many grants.
Just to get that Athens in motion stamp to put in the West Cement.
Yeah, oh, yes, and the year, ACC asked for a motion. Yes, but definitely some signs, some yard signs and projects.
These blocks.
Let's go out there and stick. Looks better. Get some.
I hope it's okay for me to make the motion to approve the small project items as listed out here, because I am terribly excited about these projects.
Yeah.
Second?
Second.
All right. Rita, any further discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Yes.
Awesome.
Daniel's like, okay, now time to do some more work. Time to add 20 more hours to my week. Steven's like, you can't have any more overtime. What you gonna do?
Only I got overtime.
As much comp time as you want, Daniel.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Up to a limit, right?
you can't use it anyways.
All right, so we'll wait from you all as far as next steps go on whether you present. I'm happy to join you, or even if, maybe I just sit in the chair in the room, maybe that's best. I don't know.
Slight clerical thing. Are we agreeing on these numbers or do we want to round down and up?
No, this is the numbers we voted.
Okay,
That-
cool.
This is the thing. So what you have?
My guess with the work session is, what they've asked in the last couple of months is staff does the presentation, the chair of the VAC will sit there to ready to answer questions during the Q&A session. But you're also welcome to come and do your 2 to 3 minute public input during, like, before the actual agenda vote as well. So there's still time to talk. I would like you to be there for the Q&A if you're.
Yeah, which meeting are we putting this on?
Danny, do we have a month yet for it?
They're not meeting in July, right?
You're not meeting at all in July, right? So work session, August work session.
August work session. followed by
September.
Okay, great. I just want to make sure I'm here. Okay, so I'll block off August work session. It's 5 o'clock. What's next on our agenda? Yeah, we are a little behind. That's okay. So next is the Athens in Motion plan update. So I'm hoping y'all had a chance to just kind of look this over, because what we're asking for today is not like approving this is going to be set in stone, but this is the direction that we're thinking. And Teresa went through the plan, took a stab at this new outline, and then we all looked at it on the ad hoc committee. So it has a sort of new outline, like we were incorporating some critical corridors and connections. Actually, Teresa, I'll let you, if you would like to.
Sure. So, one day when I had too much time on my hands, I took our Athens in Motion plan book and I just kind of went through it and started to think about what an up-to-date version of that might look like. And then the idea of doing an outline for kind of a new book came to me, and this is the outline. So I don't have control of the screen, but basically, it's there as you've seen it. If you haven't had a chance to read it, nothing new or scary or controversial is in here, but just trying to make it cleaner, more easy to get information. And also the idea would be that all this stuff would be available online in our website that we're hopefully one day going to have, so that, this document would be a fixed point in time, but it would reflect the database that would always be changing because of, new projects that come up or things that are completed, etc. And then Daniel also asked me to take the old book and do an outline for that. So we'd have a comparison, which is what this next thing is. So you can see this is what the old book looked like, and then, it was a great document for getting Athens in Motion started, and we've learned a lot in 5 years. And we've really developed as a commission, and we do things in a way that we couldn't have anticipated back at the beginning. So, anyway, so I just thought, it would be kind of worthwhile to just revamp the whole plan, and work as a committee. I'm sure we'll have plenty of little work days where we go through and build each of these sections. And then, we're also going to be developing the criteria, which will be based on the original criteria, but we're going to put some refinements into it, and it will be done through a data-driven interactive map that Daniel will be keeping together for us. So. And I volunteer to be the workhorse on this after July. I will have lots of time, so don't anybody get scared and think, oh my God, it's going to be so much work for me.
If I can get InDesign, I can help as well. So I think what I've really appreciated about the approach that Teresa took and that we talked over is that it imagine someone who has not a lot of lingo or jargon, a regular person, how they might, an elected official, how they might kind of approach plan. Instead of burying stuff, like what do they really care about? We'll have the executive summary for some audiences. What is the plan? Maps people respond to, and then what are those critical corridors and connections? And then we just start getting more and more, in the weeds for the people who want to and who are interested. So as you can see, it goes, kind of from a broad, big picture perspective, then it gets down into the nitty gritty.
Something for everyone.
Yeah, so there's a lot here because our plan is big and even the outline itself is big. So what do y'all, what are some of your impressions of this approach so far?
But I think the overall outline does make it, to your earlier point, a little more readable.
Yeah.
Because to try and sit down and look at the first master plan, it's a chore to try and get through it. Because as you say, I mean, people are gonna, if they're okay with the executive summary, they're gonna be done and move on. And if they want more information, they can just keep digging deeper. And I do like that we've, added in a policy section. Because I think we have a lot to contribute there.
I thought it was important to make sure it reflected the work that we've done. Great Streets, Vision Zero, things like that. Crosswalks.
Mm-hmm. Right. I know this was on the agenda for last month and we didn't get to meet. But would y'all feel comfortable giving a vote on this today, or do you want more time to look at the outline?
So what would we'd be voting on specifically that we're gonna follow this outline?
It's more like this direction. We're gonna tweak things, but
Yeah.
before, it's kind of like it's our concept. It's not the preliminary engineering.
Right.
It's the direction.
It's going to evolve, it's going to change.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So authorize.
It's going to be like an AI bot, we're going to learn as we go along.
Yeah. So understanding that, we're gonna work with it section by section, decide, what trees to keep and what retain.
Every decision that goes into this is group. It's not one person's decision.
Yeah, and it's like the vote isn't necessarily to give a recommendation to mayor commission, obviously, this is we vote just direction for that subcommittee. So that in the future, if we need to, we can point to and say, well, this is where we decided on the outline, this is that kind of thing, so.
The subcommittee just doesn't want to go too far without y'all's input.
Sure.
It's a lot of work.
Time to review or motion to approve?
Say motion to approve. I think that looks good.
And motion from Jane, second, Randy. Any further discussion on the outline draft? All those in favor of authorizing the ad hoc committee to continue in this direction, please say aye. 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 Any opposed? Yes. All right, ad hoc committee.
Getting her done today.
Yes. Yeah, we're a little bit behind, but that's okay. An ad hoc committee, are we meeting in June?
Haven't received anything.
Okay, let's.
Good.
talk about this.
Charge of that one?
Just schedule it whenever I can come here, I'll go.
Are you in charge of that one?
I'm on it, yeah.
Who's the chair of it? Do we have a
We
chair?
don't have a chair. I mean, we
We're
have
all
chairs
chairs.
to fit in.
We do.
Yeah, I guess I've been, I don't know. We'll talk about a time.
Figure that in that committee meeting. If there needs to be an organization of who's organizing things, we'll figure it out in that committee.
We'll have an email
Perfect.
that goes out. Barber Street, briefly, where we are with this project is it is expected to come before the mayor and commission at their voting meeting next Tuesday, so a week from today. The short version is it seems like, commissioners are working together, potentially coming up with CDOs, which they are, that's what they do. And we as a commission, we have our recommendation, which is the contraflow bike lanes, the whole length of the corridor.
Two-way separated cycle track, slightly different than contraflow bike lanes.
Okay, are we officially saying two-way cycle track?
Yeah, contraflow bike lane, just like when there's a bike lane that goes against the flow of traffic, usually that is on a one-way street.
Thank you.
Two-way separated cycle track is specifically two-way cycle track, bike lanes,
Okay,
asphalt, or I guess in this case, you could do either, but yeah.
thank you.
Cool.
Thank you. I'm only a volunteer here. I'm like, I can only make suggestions and try and say the right words. Yeah, so our recommendation is that the two-way cycle track the whole way down for consistency, and because we have the Prince Avenue bike lanes place. I think as far as bike and pedestrian issues, the history of bike and ped issues in Athens-Clarke County goes, I think that there has been concern that things would not be done the right way, that maybe we don't have to worry ourselves over so much anymore because we have staff who are up to date on guidelines. And there are more guidelines today than there have been before, not just for staff, but for engineers. So my understanding is engineers will ensure that whatever collaboration comes forth from the mayor and commission, it will be a solution that is bike and pedestrian infrastructure that does meet NACTO, et cetera, guidelines. Am I speaking out of turn there at all, y'all, when I say that?
I mean, at this point, y'all have given your recommendation, they're well aware of it. The voting session is next Tuesday. If you would like to show up as a resident, voice your opinion, you can. It isn't, no one is speaking on behalf of the commission at public input. The public input phase, is that all? That's all basically kind of
Yeah.
where we're at, and yeah.
And what time is that?
6 p.m. But that's also a budget hearing.
So it could be.
So the first part of the meeting will be budget, listen to people and their concerns about the overall Athens-Clarke County budget, right? That's how it was last time.
I haven't been watching that. I would say.
It was a full room.
The forum, thank you.
It was a full room.
Yeah.
When they had budget stuff happening before Barber. So
They had a separate
there was 2 meetings.
like input after the
Yeah.
budget hearing.
So depending on how they break that up, it could be a long night waiting to speak.
Are they doing public input for this next budget hearing as well? Are they doing it for all budget hearing? I thought there were some that didn't have public input scheduled, but I could be wrong.
Is the agenda out there yet?
It's supposed to come out Friday.
Are there any specific questions to Barber Street?
Questions about Barber Street? So, if I speak, it will just be saying what we've already said before, and I'm weighing on how effective that will be. That will not be effective. But I'm hopeful we can advance a concept that is good bike ped infrastructure, or at least a concept that gets us to good bike ped infrastructure for this important corridor. Yeah. Moving on, so, 2 items for housekeeping, part 2. The first, I think I've checked in with most of you about email and dual authentication, and, there it goes. I think the only person I didn't get a chance to ask is, Craig, have you been able to create your ACC Gov email?
I need to do that, yeah.
Okay.
I have Authenticator, I have to use it at work, but so it
Uh-huh.
should take one, but I just need to do it.
Yeah, the multi-factor authentication part actually didn't take as long as I thought it would.
So we're gonna be moving away from having personal emails on the listserv. Interestingly enough, I think all of the ACC Gov emails were ejected from the listserv recently. I think this has happened before, and I have a feeling it's because one of the email addresses was invalid and they ejected all the ones from that domain. That's just kind of how the UGA listserv works. Mark Abel was overseeing that. I've sent him an email, but I've requested, like, is this something that he wants to continue doing, or like, do we?
We can create, we should be able to create a Google, not Google, Microsoft Outlook group.
There is an Athens in Motion listserv within our Outlook now.
Okay,
Oh, good.
It is only the commissioners' emails currently. I think I want to add all of our staff to that, Sherelle, Ronnie, Stephen, and myself. There's some outside members that were part of committees or, ex officios. I need to find out what it would entail to add. I think maybe when we have our ex officio discussion.
yeah, that's when we should talk about that.
In the meantime, I could basically try to add all the current ones to that. It doesn't quite work the same as listserv, I don't think. But it allows you to email the group by typing in Athens in Motion.
Yeah.
And you can explode out the recipients of that, and anyone can email that group, I believe, in the organization.
So is it appropriate to let's sunset our UGA listserv, July 31st? Yeah.
Seems fair. That gives us time to figure it out.
Yeah, so we'll be sunsetting the UGA listserv. So for now, it's gonna be a little bit weird because things will be coming from personal email when it's related to the listserv, but you might also be getting email from us, ACC Gov. I would say, if you're doing anything official, or if you're doing individual emails, you can go ahead and send them to ACC Gov. Or if that's confusing to you, you're welcome to send to my personal email, but July 31st, that's our cutoff. And anyone new on the commission, they gotta do the ACC Gov route.
So all future correspondence will go through ACC Gov emails.
And we will fully sunset our personal email usage July 31st.
And that's kind of protecting y'all, because right now your personal emails are essentially subject to open records requests, and we want to avoid that. So everything will be handled through the ACC Gov emails. And so do whatever you need to do on your settings side to forward emails along to your one that you check, or stay on top of checking them. I don't want anybody, I don't want people to suddenly miss out on a bunch of stuff because they forgot to like log in and check the email, because I do that on my personal and all the time. It's very hard for me to keep up with two things.
And then, okay, so we've got a plan for that. Then there's the training.
And I have sent that out. I just sent another, I just did it again. So you should be able to now, you should be able to do the training. Right now, we have it set up so that you can register yourself. After like a month or two, maybe we'll use July 31st as the day. If y'all haven't finished your training by that date, I'm gonna go ahead and register y'all and you'll have 90 days to complete. I don't really wanna know what happens if you don't do it. If you could just do it, that'd be cool. Right now, it's kind of, all the BACs it's being implemented in stages. I'm just trying to get ahead of it because, sometimes it's helpful to have a test group, y'all are the guinea pigs, so. I think y'all are one of the first BACs to have your own ACC Gov email, so.
Yeah, I figured that out when I talked to some folks on the planning commission and they're like, what are we gonna have to do? And I'm like, oops. Yes, thank you, Daniel. I can confirm that I have received the Work Commission training email. So as Daniel said, y'all try and knock that out this summer. I know it's hard. We're trying to travel and some of us are trying to get a friend.
You want something to help put you to sleep? It's a 20-minute class. You take the test and then you can go to sleep afterwards. And you just do it 5 times.
Yeah, so about 2.5 hours, budget about 2.5 hours.
But it's just 20 minutes. I think it's about 20 minutes with 10 minutes of taking a quiz. So I've done 2 of the modules. It's pretty simple. You do have to get 100%. Make sure everybody understands.
But you can take it as
Fully.
many times as you
How
want.
many it takes.
You can,
Yeah.
yeah, you take,
Okay.
sometimes the questions are.
Yeah, it's the word.
Iffy.
I got one wrong. The wording was weird and I was like, oh, yeah, okay.
So Brandon, did you already do it?
Yeah, and I got one wrong,
Really?
but luckily there's only 2 choices, so,
Did you already finish all the training?
no, just
Okay.
the first one.
Okay,
Yeah.
great.
It's easy to get it the second time.
Yes, and I think this training can be very helpful. As much as I want to resist having to do more online training. I think it's going to clear some things up and put us all on the same page and any new AIM commissioners going forward.
Yes.
And we'll have to be up to us or Daniel to remember to tell them about such and such thing or over their group or whatever. Okay, thank you. Moving on. Spending update. So there have been some changes, or we have deepened our understanding of Athens Motion Commission funds, who can spend them, and what is the approval process. It's about 5:30 now. Yeah, so Daniel, can you give us an understanding of that and try and maybe a quick version?
The other version is currently have $10,781.86 to spend out. Ideally, the commission would vote on how we want to spend those funds, but it's not mandatory. Where we're moving towards is essentially the commission, Athens Motion Commission, is not currently been, what's the phrasing they used? Y'all aren't allowed to expend funds from ACC Gov. There are some commissions that have been directed by mayor and commission to expend certain funds. Our commission is not one of them, but we do have a budget, but you can't expend those funds. So I expend the funds on behalf of y'all, and voting on it.
That's pretty much how it's always been,
Yeah.
really.
Right.
Like we had a
Yeah.
credit card or anything. Right.
Yeah, so, but voting on it, is a way to kind of get consensus, but it's not required. And basically moving forward, that budget, so there's this year's budget that we need to spend out. There's next year's budget, which is going to be wrapped into TPW's budget line item. One of the many budgets that Stephen knows more about than me. And it would become part of our budget. It's not a separate thing. This was the last year y'all will have to appeal to mayor and commission and do a budget hearing. That's not gonna be needed going forward. It's just gonna be written into our budgeting process back in November, December, when we put things together to say we need more, we need less. And ultimately, what that budget goes towards, it's not that important that we spend it out. What's important is that that is meant to achieve the work plan that y'all put together. So the way it is right now, I think I sent an email, but I can't remember if I got a response. I need y'all's work plan.
Yeah, okay, but the work plan is really just supposed to be the things that are going to come before mayor and commission for a vote, like policy changes. And so none of our funds are really gonna support policy changes.
So in future, we can hire someone to help us with, like we can hire a consultant to help us with policy development. Really, your work plan is outlining what your commission is doing. And so that work plan becomes a really important thing because it also directs how we're going to be doing. So we want to incorporate probably within the work plan, spending plan. And with that, we can say this many tabling events. Obviously,
So
tabling convening.
we're including stuff that's not just policy changes. We're talking like regular activities of the commission.
This is what the commission will be doing in 2023, 24, whichever the coming year is. So that's how it was interpreted of like what the work plan should be. And the way that those funds get expended is through I would be spending to accomplish your goals in the work plan. So one of the things, furthering education and outreach, we can buy more safety vests. We could vote on that today, but we could also just vote like kind of a blanket breakdown of like this much more towards promotional materials. That would help me kind of get some orders in. We have until, we have, I guess 30 days, 1 month from today to get everything spent out. We've got 10,000. That doesn't include, I don't think that includes the 3,500 that we've set aside for plan. We ended up not doing a social media intern, so that 2,000 is still part of this. So
$6,500. Roughly.
60, let me use the calculator.
You said there's 10K.
10.78.
Okay, so 7,200.
7,281. Yes. So we can buy, I think we've discussed reflective vests. Those all went really quickly.
Right.
Within one tabling session. Okay.
But yeah, that's one of the updates is that we did get rid of all the vests. People love them. The kids, children.
And I've
Love
got,
the
I've got a
vests.
source for doing kid-sized vests.
Yeah.
And they're ready, the order's ready to go. All we need to do is send them money.
What's that order for? Can we just do a quick vote for that, or do you want to do?
I think I like the idea of like promotional materials and authorizing y'all to look into those and move forward. Versus, since we're running low on days.
Right.
But I'm for discussion on that.
Keep it generic.
How much do y'all want to do?
Yeah.
Well, is there anything else?
Could I make a point? So if you don't vote on how to spend the funds today,
Right.
saying hopefully you'd have a quorum in June. And at that point, it would actually be a little bit too late to.
Right,
vote.
that's what I mean, yeah.
So really, this is your last.
Right.
Today is your last chance.
Today's the day.
Okay.
So do you want to tell us what a good way to go forward would be so that you can do your job and so that we can get the most bang for our buck as a commission?
The easiest thing for me without because I don't have a list of things off the top of my head right now, would be if y'all voted to just spend for my discretion. But I haven't, we've talked about it and I just don't have it in front of me.
So, in the future, the idea of voting or spending based on the work plan is what are the values and the goals for this upcoming year that you want to spend, that you want Daniel to interpret and then spend based on, right? So if today you have some specific goals like promotional materials that you can voice to him and then vote on those values or goals, he can take that and spend for the rest of the month, right? So if there is anything beyond promotional materials that you would like to add to that, I think that would be helpful.
I'd like to reorder the vests and then order the kids' size vests as well.
So we'll do promotional materials. That could be vests, it could be bike lights, it
Yeah.
could be,
And
I think
Like locks.
bike locks, is one, or helmets.
Helmets are, I have so many.
Never mind.
Don't worry about helmets. We're good.
The other thing that I was trying to think of, I just thought of it. We could hire contract labor to help me with some of the analyses that we need to do leading up for the plan, like redevelopment.
But we can't spend that all in the next 30 days though.
Right, so like depending on how I don't even know how quickly we could get a contract labor set up. So
But
maybe,
if you wanted to, you could say, so in addition to promotional materials, we'd also like to fund any plan revision efforts, right? So that could be the other goal. And then based on that interpretation, if there's time to get a contracted labor, great. If instead it's paying for a study, that we can go ahead and get it under contract, that's great too. But you understand like how that, it's a broad idea of what's the
Yeah,
goal.
is it too broad if we say, the remaining money, after the 3,500, that can go towards promotional materials and items to assist with plan revision? Is that too broad?
So I think that actually is great.
unless there's anything else that y'all want to have, like, if you want to buy anything materials wise, or I think that's good.
Okay, so that'll be good. And we'll have materials that will set us up for tabling in the fall. And going forward, it sounds like we need to update and look at our work plan. So maybe that's something else that we will do in the early fall with a full commission. Like, this is what we're doing. These are our committees. These are our efforts. These are the specific events we're going to table. Teresa's not going to have to be at every single event going on in the fall every weekend. We're going to be selective.
Well, until my garage is no longer where it all lives,
Okay,
I
that's
have to be
good.
involved.
I need you to get storage. Actually, I need you to get a van. Like the one by Athens has. The whole,
Alternatively, like the goal there would be to expand promotional efforts, right? Not necessarily promotional, to expand outreach efforts.
okay,
So if y'all wanted to put a subsection of that towards making it possible for partner organizations to increase their outreach, then we could help. Is there anything like within the van that y'all are needing?
well, I thought that we couldn't do that though.
If it's achieving the goals though,
Look, honestly, like I'm a few steps behind in finding out the answer, but basically ORGC voted to give us $2,000 to wrap the van. And I don't know until Alex is gonna actually spend the money, if that's possible.
Okay.
you need to run it through legal.
But time's ticking.
Yeah, so
Okay, so I'm gonna make a motion that we authorize Daniel to spend out our remaining funds for promotional, and outreach purposes and our efforts towards revising the plan. That's my motion.
I'll second.
Second? Any further discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
I,
Right?
Aye. Any opposed? Same sign. Okay, thank y'all for your patience. There's a lot changing here. Again, like, Daniel and Steven back and forth about numerous things with attorneys and applications office, PIO, and I think that it will all settle and things will be much clearer in August. So thank you there. Todd, are you still with us?
I am, sorry.
Okay. I'm sorry that we had to front load so much. We needed to get some items approved before folks left. So, would you like to give your update now?
Yeah, I can. It's no problem.
Okay, sorry about that.
Sorry, let me cut my fan off. Mine's short, so it's not a
Okay.
big deal. Okay, so basically, the Firefly Bridge is complete. The punch list items are done. We only have like a couple of super minor items left. We have some miscellaneous signage, some wayfinding signs that when the sign company was installing them, they missed, and so we got to go catch those. And then the dedication monuments up, and they got to put the little AC logo on it. And then also the restoration limits, the restoration of the disturbance um, will happen this fall. So there'll be some wildflowers planted, some additional little seating areas implemented down below the bridge, and some trees installed, and a few other small pieces. But for the most part, the Firefly Bridge is 100% open.
Woohoo!
Yeah.
It was a great event.
I really like the lighting for the Walk of the Fireflies. Can we have permanent, crazy, awesome color lighting at night?
Yeah, maybe so.
Nice.
I support that.
And then the Cars Creek Greenway, the contractor has marked the LOD. The county forester is go walk the limits of disturbance with him to mark everything as far as trees that he has issues with or wants to adjust slightly the limits of disturbance. And so silt fence, tree protection fence, and clearing and grading should start on the Cars Creek segment pretty soon. So
Nice.
You're all familiar with which section that is?
Yes, cool.
okay. And then the Firefly Phase 3 expansion, SPLOST is still working on acquiring construction easements. And so I am actually wrapping up bench locations and mile markers and stuff like that so that we can get it in the construction plan set. So, but that's hopefully we'll go to bid sometime this summer.
Okay, going to bid this summer, you said?
Hopefully it goes to bid this summer is the goal. So
Nice.
So some of the Winterville Marigold Festival, Firefly Trail had a booth set up, and the one individual is in it, someone who lives in that last little piece connecting to the existing Firefly Trail in Winterville. And he was saying he hasn't been talked to yet regarding right of ways and that, so. Hopefully,
yeah, because I assume Derek has talked to everybody because he's basically down to there's basically two the two biggest ones are left. The ones that are impacting Mr. Bunce's building, and which is in this curve part behind the subdivision, Mr. Bunce and Mr. Beamisfur. I think they're the last two. I'm not 100% sure. Those are the only ones that Derek has talked to me about that he's still missing. But
yeah, that does sound about right. I think that's the gentleman I was talking to.
yeah, so They're the only two left, and they have the design plans and been talking to them, negotiating, and it's just a process. So
Okay, and Todd, they're gonna start on the Winterville side first, right?
correct. They would. That's the goal, is to start at Winterville and go back towards downtown.
Exciting.
Yeah, because especially with that filtration manufacturing plant that's gonna be built on Spring Valley,
Oh,
is gonna make it completely unbikeable. I would not say for one iota, especially during construction, when you have all the construction traffic
oh, right, right.
on that little 2-lane road. And it'll add another, I think it's like 1,400 employees, which is great, county. Plus it'll be really good jobs. It's gonna put a lot of traffic on that little stretch of road, so
Yeah,
sooner the Firefly Trail's done, the better, sure.
we're gonna lose that one, that road.
It's a shame, that was a nice ride.
Yeah, it is. Oh, I didn't like taking Morse code, but get to it.
No.
It was nice to get there. Thank you, Todd. Do you have anything else?
We have the MLK expansion, but that one's so far off that I really haven't put much. We haven't done much on it. So
Right, okay.
But the bridge is awesome.
that's
So
it.
nice just to cut right across.
Oh, yeah, I know.
Oh, man,
I commuted up there.
oof,
The new bridge, I mean.
that's awesome.
All right. I
Okay, well,
will
thanks for hanging in there, Todd.
Yeah.
stop sharing. No problem. I'm working away, so I'm just listening.
All right, so we have about 13 minutes. Daniel, is there anything critical that you want us to know that we haven't covered?
I had something here about aim plan goals to vote on.
What was that?
The Athens motion plan goals to, do we have new goals or goal adjustments to vote on?
No.
Okay, and then the wiki map. I have a version of it, but I guess the question is, do we want to approve the wiki map once it's completed? I've got a round of edits coming back on it, but once it's completed, I'll send it out to the group. Do we want to have a formal vote to approve it, or can we just do informal, like, here's the wiki map as it stands? Give me feedback within this amount of time, and we'll see one more set of changes. Your thoughts?
If we vote on this in June meeting, does that hold you back? Is that what you're saying?
Our contract should be done by then, and I'm gonna, usually. So ultimately, we'll have paid out the contract, and there's not really much we can do unless we spend more money in the next fiscal year to make any final adjustments, I think, but.
So you don't have something to show us right now, and we don't really have time to make a vote?
I guess what I'm just wondering is do y'all, I'm not sure exactly how to do it, but,
Yeah, we.
I don't have anything to send, because they've got one more round of changes, then I'll send that out to the group. And then everyone will get a chance to kind of look through and provide any feedback,
I think that's fine.
and
Are y'all fine with that?
just
Yeah, we're fine.
basically want to make sure that's clear, just so that no one is like, wait a second, we didn't vote on the final, so,
Yeah, that's fine.
thank you. I will send you a spreadsheet for attendance once I finish. I didn't quite finish that.
Let's rework on that.
As far as our other stuff goes, we are currently going through the RFQ process for North Avenue Race Grant. So how much of an update can we give?
Not too much, except that we feel like we've found our firm that we want to go with, and we'll be sending them a letter.
Okay. So.
Great.
Sooner we can get going on that, the sooner we can meet the obligation deadline, which is coming up fast. aside from that, yeah. My brain's kind of scrambled at the moment, so.
We moved a lot
Yeah.
tonight.
Are there any questions about any of the things we've got going on? Or just like
I think we've covered a lot of important stuff.
have I updated y'all on the Prince Avenue, GDOT section stuff?
What can you officially tell us, Daniel?
So what did we tell the Prince Avenue user group? That was portion of the update was given.
I can give that same.
Perfect.
Yeah, so a few months ago, yeah, I guess at this point, that's GDOT, project manager reached out, who is in charge of the state portion of the Prince Avenue update, project, and asked if the locals would be in favor of a road transformation, project along the state maintained portion of Prince Avenue, which was the first time we've ever heard anything like that from GDOT.
Excuse
What?
me.
Say it again.
I know, I'm
So they use the term road transformation project, which to us translates to a road diet, which would be looking at the feasibility of something like 3-lane, something like what we did on the local portion of Prince. It may not look exactly like that, and I think that's why they use the term road transformation, because
Yeah.
they wanted to explain that may not be a 3-lane with bike lanes the entire way, because the context of Prince changes throughout that.
Right.
But it means that they're willing to come to the table and look at that. I will say that there have been some big changes in staffing over at the GDOT office, and I think that part of that is, maybe leading to this kind of new idea of multimodal and complete streets as part of their goals. So it's exciting. We got a letter from the mayor at this point that it states exactly that Athens-Clarke County is in favor of this, and so Mayor Gertz sent that letter to GDOT, and we'll hear from there kind of a new timeline on that. Now, what that does mean is that GDOT did have a concept report for their project, and so that means they're going to have to pull that concept report and re-look at that portion of Prince to see what this new type of road diet look like. So it does kind of stretch out that portion of it. But I think, Daniel, you mentioned that they said that they could probably still fit their obligate their timeline, their original timeline that they said. There's a term that I'm not familiar with, but it's basically like an accelerated concept approval that GDOT can use when you have some specific types of data that you've already taken, you've already done your traffic report. So they may be able to fast track it and get back on timeline with it. So it's exciting either way.
Yeah. May add extra steps ultimately shouldn't affect the timeline of the delivery.
This is wonderful news. I'm so thrilled about this conversation happening, and I thank you all for, talking with them, and, we'll just cross our fingers. It sounds like, you don't need us for anything, which is great.
I was on, I look at the loop, right? And I was on the Decatur to Stone Mountain greenway that they have there. And they put a bike ped bridge, across 285. So, and I don't know who did that, GDOT, whoever did that, but it's like, to think that these things can't happen, they certainly can, because 285 would be a lot more insurmountable than the loop, I would think. So.
It sounds like GDOT is probably under some pressure. I heard that Atlanta has like the worst traffic accidents, or 10th in the nation or something. I'm really thrilled about this. Thank you for this update. Yeah.
Where is the portion that they own?
So from Millage out to, and I think we'd go all the way out to the loop or past
Their project ends at Sunset.
It'd be great to get to where the frontage road is at the country club. I mean, that would be.
That could be part of a future conversation. Expanding the scope is a much bigger, because this is based off of 2018 road safety audit, and those are the bounds that were determined. Now, We do have that 8 million for T-Splosh. We do want to see, work together with GDOT on this, see what we can do.
Mhm.
And then in terms of like that section out, work with them in future, execution to hopefully that Jefferson Road funds, once there's a user group for that.
Yes, right, because there's T-Splosh 2023 for Joyce.
And so that could go towards something like that, but yes, in terms of, we are happy with their, expansion as is. And you build it out in pieces, you can't do it all at once, so.
Yeah.
You may have also noticed construction signs going up, some repaving is gonna happen soon, so. I think that was one of the updates. Bridge updates about the Loop area, bridge.
Some unofficial stuff. I think all I would mention is that while Prince is sort of an official, hey, this is a new version of GDOT and they're ready to come to the table, we've also got some rumblings about some other projects that they're willing to look at, like that improvements along with some other operational stuff. So
Okay.
we should have some more information on that. It would be some bridge improvements. Maybe in the next couple of months, I'll be able to share that.
That's exciting.
Yeah.
As everything else goes, just think we have plans review for, we need to finish reviewing the plans for Hawthorne and Oglethorpe intersection improvements. We are waiting on UGA on the Riverbend Road improvements. That's UGA and railroad coordination on that project. Jefferson River Road is coordination with the railroad on that project, so we're kind of all up in coordination there. Cherokee Road, the 85% plans are done, but there hasn't been any movement to fund that construction. So that is, I guess, something that I don't know if it is like technically back on y'all's plate, but we're working on, I think, we're working with the Lexington Road User Group to expand that down to the intersection, and then we'll have something to bring back. Is that where we're at on that portion? Yeah. So basically, the original project scope was defined because there were some sidewalk gaps and we were recommending sidewalks.
Right.
That was changed to a multi-use path.
Right.
Scope was not changed. So we would just have a multi-use path end at where our sidewalk currently ends. So suddenly you'd be shifted down to a 5-foot. So.
I thought we voted on that.
Right, and so we added on, so we're widening, we expanded the scope down to the intersection. And when we get further along, I'll bring that back, but that's where we're at on all the main AIM projects.
But it'd be good to, with the Cherokees, over the last 3 months or so, I've seen an increased amount of foot traffic between Buddy Christian and like Lowe's and that. And where there is sidewalk, it's not bad. I mean, it kind of does this, but where there's no sidewalk, those people are walking at like a 45-degree angle
Yeah.
in the drainage ditches, and it's a little scary when you're driving along trying to pass them and hope they don't fall in front of you. But I'm not sure why it seems to have picked up, but it has. A lot of people walking.
That's good. Nice weather, maybe.
All right, I know we're about at 6, so if anyone needs to go, feel free to. Do we have any other corridor committee updates? I know we'll probably need a different person.
Yeah.
But we got Daniel for now.
Daniel, I communicated with Derek Doster this morning. I had to miss the last Atlanta Highway meeting, but surveying along Timothy Mitchell Bridge is done, and the design team is finalizing the preliminary plans, coordinating with ACC Gov Traffic Engineering, and then they expect they'll be doing further public engagement, and they think about presenting that in early fall.
Okay.
Thank you.
That's not part of the Atlanta, that's been broken off now though, right? From Atlanta Highway to Timothy Road.
I have no idea what they've.
Sure they'll
they've done.
charge one account versus the other. They'll
I
figure it out.
We're still meeting.
The other update for Lexington, I think somehow you were removed from that invite and
Yeah, I may have deleted the invite. I don't know. I missed the meeting.
yeah,
Yeah, so
so that's where
I have it on for my net or for this coming month. So we're good there.
the sidewalk on Lexington Road, is there a major update there?
The small one or
The Lexington Road corridor project, the large one.
not really?
So, because we did an update and they ran through the construction documents with the user group. They showed all the kind of walk through the corridor. So that's where we're at. I think they're finalizing.
Okay, that's the sidewalks on the south side. Um,
Prince-
yeah. Prince, we talked about Prince.
Mark was the representative on that. I think. Do y'all have to vote on a representative or can we just choose one?
I think we did maybe vote.
I think at this point we can't vote, but
Yeah.
does anyone want to volunteer to be the Prince Avenue user group member? And I will get that straightened out.
Maybe.
We can send it out to the internet.
Yeah, let's talk about it. Let's talk about the email. Let's do that. Are any groups besides the ad hoc plan revision committee going to meet this month and need to set up a meeting with Daniel? Next month, I guess, June.
As we could, for policy, we could start talking about what our next thing we want to tackle is with.
Yeah, y'all still doing
Sub-project.
crosswalks, right? And some
But-
cycling ordinances.
Sorrell's been working on the crosswalk policy.
Okay.
We haven't done any work on the ordinances. We have the presentation. We could refine that and start preparing for the mayor and commission presentation at their work session for the sub-projects list.
Yes, put us on for the third. Thursday? Yeah.
22nd of June.
Or Thursday's 15.
15.
Yep.
It's a weird one.
Yeah.
It's a weird one right
I might
there.
be-
It's like,
Um,
Oh, wow.
I will be in town, but do we want to?
You will be or won't be?
I will be.
Okay.
I'm leaving Friday. So if we want to move it to Wednesday, or are you said you can't make it, is there a time period that you can?
I'm not sure whether I'm leaving. I'm not sure when. It's not helpful at all.
Cool. Do you want to stick with the normal date and time, or do you want to figure it out through email?
We'll figure it out through email.
Okay, yeah,
Sounds a little complicated at the moment.
yeah, sorry about that.
We're already after 6. So
Yeah, I think my brain's a little frazzled.
Okay.
And
think that-
then ad hoc, we're gonna decide. We do, have some quick updates from education and communications, mainly that we did a lot of tabling. And I think I do want to talk about it because, in particular, I would say the Clarke County School District Family Day that Teresa set up was an excellent event. I think it's a great event for outreach. We were there with Bike Athens. And it gave us, allowed us to communicate with a cross-sectional community that we don't normally get to communicate with, like parents, regular parents of children who attend our schools. So I know there was a lot going on that day. It was twilight. It was kind of difficult to pull off, but I'll let your committee decide, but I think that's one to put on for the books. I think it's,
I thought, between the two, Twilight versus that school event, I thought the school event seemed like it would be a better fit for us.
your instincts were spot on. Yeah.
So anyway, I'm sorry I had to leave town, but, it couldn't be helped. But anyway, thank you all for filling in and making that happen.
Yeah, let's plan to do that next year and have some more items for children.
Yeah.
But the kids, they loved everything we had, even though it was not geared towards kids.
Flat bracelet.
Flat bracelets.
Those went quick.
Slap.
Well, I've got a bunch more in my
I've got
garage.
3 on my bike.
We only took one, we took like one box, I think, or maybe 1 or 2 bags of it.
You know, I didn't think to give you all enough.
I know, I mean, I appreciate not having everything all at once, but I was literally digging through my car being like, okay, I think I have other things I can give away, like, here's some.
Packet for you.
I was like, here's some flashing bracelets from GDOT that they gave me, and here's like, have an extra zipper, D-zipper, maybe we can give that away.
I would say, I know that spring is really busy, you know, for prioritized events, I would definitely put that on top of the list.
Yep.
And then Teresa and Daniel attended an Envision Athens event about aging and transportation. And there's, Teresa sent along.
Just sent a quick and dirty little write-up. I'm sure you saw it.
Probably not.
But Daniel was busy taking detailed notes throughout the meeting, but it was it was a real nice group. The idea being that transportation options for seniors and other people who have difficulty getting around aren't all that great, aren't all that reliable, aren't all that connected. And this is kind of a task force looking at how to build a better network, streamline communications, make sure that elderly people and people who have needs and can't drive have access to their medical appointments. They can get food, and they can also just get out and have some exercise and social activity. So it was a nice group. I was really glad that I was part of it.
I thought it was a fantastic conversation. My big takeaways were that the whole discussion distilled down into like 3 main categories, because I have to categorize. You've got the users, the elderly, population. You've got the places that they need to get to. And so you've got kind of the people and the places, and then you've got the services that get them there. I guess 4 things. And then the infrastructure that those services rely on to get them to that destination. So it really breaks down into those groups of at origin, the services, the infrastructure, and the destination. And making sure that from the infrastructure standpoint, we can provide what we need to prioritize and build out and get better access for seniors.
Great. Do the Envision folks who are not already staff, they want to come to any mayor and commission meetings?
I don't know.
You
You
can
could always ask.
Huh?
Could always ask.
Well, thank y'all for attending that.
One other thing, if people are interested, we have a planned bike ride on the Greenway, with Bike Athens and Leisure Services and TPW staff to discuss multi-use path standards. One of the things that y'all know is that we have several multi-use paths that have been getting built or designed based on that are Athens in Motion projects. And we really want our design team to take a tour of the Greenway so we can really see what a 10-foot section looks like, what a 12-foot section looks like. Because I think a lot of people are thinking multi-use path is 10 feet across the board, and the standard on the Greenway Trail is 12 feet. In some cases, 14 on the Firefly. And so just put some eyes on the ground, do that ride. That's Friday, June 9th at 1 p.m. at the Nature Center.
You sent out,
I can. It's kind of an informal invite, if that's something y'all are interested in participating in.
That was the 9th at 1 p.m.
Yeah,
Sandy Creek.
Nature Center.
Yeah.
thank you. Blaine, any updates from UGA?
No, nothing new.
It's bringing around. We're waiting on our Greenway person. I don't have any updates from the newest T-Splost. I know the oversight committee is meeting. They haven't yet started putting out, as far as I can tell, the official like update month to month. Unless they're just using the same one they had been using. So I don't have any idea what's going on.
Right, how do we find out about T-Splost updates now? Through staff?
I think it generally, it's like y'all are having those communications and then I guess, I mean,
I haven't, we don't have a conduit to the user group. We find out about our T-Splost projects that we currently have. We're on the same corridor user groups, but do you have a conduit for T-Splost as a whole?
Not really, no.
fascinating. Okay,
Is anyone appointed to anyone from?
no.
Cool.
One of the people that's on our T-Splost round got sucked into it. I think it's Hamby's district. Whoever was serving there.
Oh, yeah, Alan? No, well,
What Hamby's district?
what's his
Somebody,
name?
somebody,
Rocky Raffle was
What?
also, who's the mayor appointee.
So
somebody came up to me at the Firefly Bridge opening and was like introducing themselves because I'd only ever seen them
Okay,
on the screen. And so they got sucked into the T-Splost group and I was,
okay,
but I forget.
Yeah.
If I saw a list of names, I could probably figure it out, but
okay,
they're on it. So it's the only person I know.
okay.
yeah, what kind of updates did you previously give in this section? Do we?
No, it's not like they were required. It's just that since Aaron and I were both on T-Splost 2018, and then Teresa and I were on 2023 on the advisory committee, we were just kind of throwing stuff in there.
So do we cancel that update or do we?
It was informal. Yeah, it's not, I don't know.
With all the existing user groups now, wouldn't it be like the reports that each of the corridor user groups are giving back is the same information that group would have given, right? So it's like how the money's about to be spent on this project or this project. But it's capturing some of the things that we might not have a member, like an A member on, right?
Just the sidewalk projects. That's my main.
Yeah.
We have quite a few active transportation projects and I don't think we can have a member. I mean, maybe we can get an A member on every single one of those, but that is a lot.
Yeah.
To ask.
Might just be a staff update on current bike ped related projects.
Yeah. We'll organize a workflow for it. We'll figure it out.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I do feel a little in the dark. All right, I know that we're over time. Thank you all. Any last items that I skipped? Scott?
I think it was Jeremy Field.
Oh, yes, Jeremy.
I guess just in case we don't meet again. Once it is posted, I'll send out the application for our other seats. I'll send it out to the listserv. You'll tell your friends about it. Anyone who you think would be valuable to have on the board, commission. Just, help spread the word. I think they're gonna be doing some advertising, but
Okay, do you think that Mark's position is gonna be put out there separately than, I guess, my position, or are they all gonna come out together?
all at the same time.
Great. Okay,
Because of how close to the deadline is, so.
sad for Mark, but every time I see a slip plane. Sad. Mark. All right, I guess I will entertain a motion to adjourn this meeting.
So we.
Second. All those in favor? Aye. Okay, we're adjourned.
Thanks for coming, Todd.
Good meeting.
Yeah.
Thank you, Todd. All right, y'all. I'm sorry that was over by so much. Thanks for hanging in there. We got a lot.
That was good.